Champions aren't made overnight. It takes a lot of patience, practice, and hard work to turn a contender into a champion. Against all odds, Enigma Gaming persevered and turned their dreams into reality by winning the Valorant Conquerors Championship India Qualifier 1. Coming into the tournament, Enigma Gaming had undergone recent roster changes as they added Excali. Young players like RVK, who had been showing promise, were picked up and lifted to stardom, while the veteran player Antidote picked up the reins and pulled his team together as a new in-game leader. Under normal circumstances for any other team, all these changes and uncertainties would have been detrimental to a team's progress. But in the case of Enigma Gaming, these were catalysts. With this, they've gotten themselves a ticket to the next stage of the VCC. Enigma Gaming's story has been pretty inspiring. They faced virtually no resistance up until the semi-finals. They breezed through their initial matches and also dispatched off T69 with relative ease in the quarterfinals.
Going for the duel and the distraction is going to be a success.
In the semi-finals, they were up against Velocity Gaming. Given the past results, the fans were expecting a Velocity versus Global Esports matchup in the Grand Finals, which is also popularly known as the Val Classico in India. Naturally, Enigma Gaming was believed to be the inferior team here, but they proved everyone wrong by defeating Velocity Gaming 2-0. They started on Icebox, Velocity's map pick. Enigma did a great job of punishing Velocity's habits on this map. They first played passively for picks, looking to punish Velocity's curiosity and aggression.
Take the yellow container, they're not checking it on time though.
To deal with that, Velocity stopped playing proactively, which is exactly what Enigma Gaming wanted. They utilized all that free map space and won the first game 13-7. In the second map, Bind, Velocity had a flying start. Their stellar defense got them a 9-3 lead. But just when we thought that we'll be going into map number 3, Enigma Gaming started to mount a comeback. Both the teams had the same fundamental strategy, to bait out utility and information and strike when they got an opening. But in the second half, Enigma Gaming's dynamic setup made it impossible to pin them down. It all boiled down to which team made lesser mistakes, and Enigma Gaming forced out errors from Velocity Gaming. By setting up utility that doesn't exactly support the positions that the Enigma players were playing from, they held off angles and bamboozled Velocity Gaming. And after weathering the enigmatic storm for so long, Velocity Gaming finally buckled. The massive comeback from Enigma Gaming meant that they defeated Velocity 2-0 and had secured a place in the Grand Finals.
It's not really coming through. A beautiful comeback, an insane comeback from Enigma Gaming, and Antidote deserves it.
Their opponent, Global Esports, also had a pretty topsy-turvy journey. A tough one too. While their semi-final game against True Rippers was a cakewalk, their quarter-final match against God Particles was an acid test. God Particles is a team that adopts the slow burn approach, sometimes double faking and even triple faking towards spike sites while simultaneously contesting middle portions of the map. God Particles won their first map on Fracture and pushed the second map into double overtime, eventually losing 13-15 to Global Esports. The only convincing map win that Global Esports had in that series was the third map, Ascent, where they won with a score of 13-5.
Storm's out. Was not able to do much, but it's fine. At least he's able to buy a lot of time. Emperor having such a huge burden on his shoulder, baits him out, and Emperor will be taken care of by lightning fast.
On the other hand, in the semi-finals, True Rippers came into the battlefield with breakneck speeds and blitzkrieg pushes, which did not even dent Global Esports, and they won both the maps 13-4. Enigma took note of this, and they knew that they needed a deeper strat book. Heading into the best of 5 Grand Finals, the teams knew what map they had to pick in order to maximize their strengths. Naturally, after losing Fracture to God Particles, Global Esports banned that map, while Enigma banned Breeze. Further in the veto, Global picked Ascent, Enigma picked Bind, Global again picked Haven, Enigma picked Icebox, and Split was left over. As we moved into the first map, Ascent, Global Esports started on the defensive side with a rather offensive approach in mind. Whenever Lightning Fast, their Killjoy, set up his utility on the B side, SK Rossi would push out of A main. And whenever Lightning Fast set up on A, SK Rossi would push out of either B main or mid. By having one side of the map under lock and key of their Sentinel and the other side under constant assault, Global Esports got an 8-4 lead in the first half. Skills popped off, getting more than 20 kills while nobody on the server was anywhere close to him.
Global Esports, the lifeline for Global Esports in this round. Round matters quite a lot for them. If this round they lose it, economy is going to be in shambles, but it doesn't matter. Skills has some insane skills for sure. CA. Trying to go for the jump peek. Surprises the heck out of Raw. Finds the 14.
Eskirossi pulled off a clutch in the second half pistol round, and that buried Enigma's hope of coming back in ascent.
Clutch situation. Open to skull, open for another man, but now instantly finds another one as well. Left alive! And Rosu gets a 3K!
Global Esports won the first map 13-5 and rolled into the second map ready to throw some sand into their opponent's face. Raw Fuel fueled his fire and turned it into a furnace, burning his opposition to the ground with nutty shots on the defensive side of Bind.
A 3v3 on this retake for Enigma. Raw Fuel with a clean tap, but still the post-plant denial is what GE is trying to achieve. Playing for time entirely here. The Gravity Well bought them some skills, will continue his form and buying them some more. The jump.
Global Esports responded to this by playing passively and waiting for picks, which would have been a good response if only Enigma Gaming weren't so damn good at reading their minds. Enigma got the lead in the series for the first time. In the second half, Enigma Gaming used the A side like their bread and butter. Whenever they attacked the spike side, Global Esports just gave it up instead of contesting, preferring to play it on the retake instead. And this cost them dearly. Enigma Gaming did not concede even a single round in the second half, and they rushed straight into the third map, Haven. Enigma Gaming experimented with a risky chamber pick on RVK. This meant that there were 3 snipers on this team. Raw Fuel being the Jet was obviously their preferred opper, but even Antidote occasionally picked up the big bad sniper rifle, even though he was playing as an Astra. And naturally, RVK has a built-in super sniper, the Chamber Ultimate to the Force. This created too many problems for Global. Once again, the side of Enigma Gaming were really patient as they started on the attacking side. They waited for Global Esports to get curious, held angles, and secured the man advantage almost every round. One mistake that Global Esports did was send their players physically to gather information instead of using Sky or Sova utility. In the second half, Enigma Gaming knew exactly what was happening and foiled their plans, thus winning Haven.
Well, yeah, beautiful point to mention, because the wall, and he's just going to sneak here, he's just going to stay here. He's going to wait for someone to cross over.
Because as soon as the wall goes down, they're going to notice that the spike is not here. Never mind.
Icebox, do or die for Global Esports, and all the limits were off. Both the teams tried new compositions, ditching the Killjoy meta as Excali picked up the Reyna and Skills picked up the Chamber instead. Enigma Gaming activated Big Brain Time, outmaneuvering and outsmarting their opponents at every step. Enigma started on the attacking side and didn't do anything out of the ordinary for the first few rounds, conditioning Global Esports into believing that they had the read on Enigma, but just when they believed it, Enigma pulled off a classic switcheroo and fooled Global Esports. By building layers upon layers, Enigma Gaming showed us the true potential of brain games. They made some moves which forced Global Esports to react in a certain way, and then they predicted those reactions to secure some economically crucial rounds. Enigma Gaming picked up the pace and the pieces whenever they hit a setback, and won several near thrifty rounds, thus nullifying Global Esports' economic damage. And the cherry on top of all those layers of cake was Excali's 1 vs 2 spray transfer to win the tournament.
Utility in general. Can go for this clutch for sure. Beautiful snake bite to try and make sure Excali's not able to cross over. Beautiful heal coming through. Pretty much back on max HP. Can pop the Empress now.
Oh my God!
And Excali somehow is able to clutch that. And guess what? This is Enigma Gaming who take down the defending champions, Global Esports, and they have made a history.
And with that, Enigma Gaming have made it to the playoffs.